tell us a little bit about how the concept of cooperative learning and peer tutoring came about.
Well, it's a very good question that you ask, and deserves a very good answer. And it started with federal regulations back in 1997. The Individual with Disabilities Act and later the No Child Left Behind Act in 2001 were enacted to help improve education in the public schools. The big goal was to help all children achieve grade level academic performance. Though there are specialized teachers to help students that fall into special needs categories, all teachers need to be adept at teaching and enriching the learning experience of special needs students. In most public schools, these students are mainstreamed in regular classes for most of the day, so the fact that one has a special needs teacher doesn't mean that you have to, whether you can just get away with not knowing it. You have to know your stuff. Now, to qualify to be a special education services, into the special education service system, you have to go, the student, that is, has to go through a pre-referral process. And in this process, a individualized education plan is developed. The plan has 6 major parts. The first part is the disability code. This is where those special needs are actually addressed. Then a level of academic and functional performance, goals and objectives, and then accommodations and modifications. Then the state standard assessments, and then the last is the placement page. And this is where the student receives any special instructions along the way. Now, important to note here that the biggest roadblock can often be the parents themselves. It's important to be sensitive when approaching the subject, as many times parents feel that it's a failure on their part. It's a good idea to prepare yourself for any student with IEPs before the school year starts, and you'll have this information when you get your student enrollment kit. Ongoing considerations that a teacher should have in mind as they prepare for IEP students is that take the initiative when approaching the special education teachers about the students that are in your class. They have a large caseload, and it would be certainly appreciative for you to take that initiative. Attend your students' IEP meetings. Be involved in the process. Document whatever you observe throughout the year and share that with those specialists. Use teaching techniques that are going to be supportive of all students, not just identified to one group or another. And never put any student in a situation where they're going to be made to feel inadequate. And never discuss a student's disability with another student.
And what about peer tutoring?
Well, as you've seen, special needs students perform better with smaller groups and one-on-one instructions. And one great way to accomplish this is through peer tutoring. But let me step back for a moment, because peer tutoring really evolves from cooperative learning, or certainly an adjunct of that. And the most effective way to meet all students' needs and wants is through cooperative learning. And simple structure activities such as roundtables and stars, smaller groups is really conducive to cooperative learning. And some key components of that are positive interdependence, structured activities and goals so that students are concerned more with the group rather than individual performance. Now, this doesn't mean that individual accountability is thrown by the wayside. Every student is accountable for mastering the material. The face-to-face interaction gives them personal self-confidence in dealing with their fellow students, and it makes the learning a little bit easier. Of course, teaching collaborative skills, giving them the rules to follow and so forth is important here, and then this allows the group to process those skills. You continue to monitor and reinforce those collaborative skills. So peer tutoring is a step beyond that. This is where you pair some more advanced students with those with general needs. You create a more supportive learning environment, more widespread understanding when this is properly implemented. Better understanding is often a result when a person is able to teach something to another person. So not only are you assisting the special needs students, you're improving the learning process for those others that are in perhaps a little bit stronger categories. This encourages cooperation within the classroom, and you must provide students with the proper skills to foster these peer tutoring skills. So it's not just something you want to go over those rules and regulations before you jump into this. And lastly, there are a variety of ways to implement effective peer tutoring systems, and a little bit more than what we could go on to today.
Well, there you have it, Rick, Melissa, from Freedom Middle School. You know, Rick, doesn't Mr. Belding look a little bit like